Well, this is the old biologist one more time. I'm driving on a funky old day, and I hate to continue to do these videos either in the shop or in the truck, but time is of the essence. And I don't have a lot of opportunities to do walking talks in the woods, especially now that we're on, I guess, what do they call it, standard time, where it gets dark at friggin' noon. You gotta leave at noon to get home by dark. I guess it's good for all us deer hunters, but I had a good question on one of the CWD talks, and it's an ongoing question, and it's an ongoing concern. Is one of the commenters asked about solutions to CWD? That's the $25 million question, and I guess what I would tell you is that solutions are very thin, but very intelligent people are working diligently on finding a solution. So all is not lost. And I make these CWD videos to not be a doomer porn kind of guy. I'm not renowned for being a friggin' cheerleader. You know, I'm not real upbeat and happy-go-lucky and, rah, rah, hooray, yay team kind of guy. I'm more of a get it friggin' done kind of guy. And I had a former friend and supervisor tell me back when I was in the deer program that I was the guy that would grumble and complain the whole way to finishing a job that was stupid and get it done ahead of time. I say all that to clarify that I have a tendency to be a very strong realist. And no, CWD right now is not the apocalypse. It's not crushing deer hunting. It's creating a lot of very big problems. But it's not the end of the world. It's not the end of deer hunting. It has the potential to be, but it's not yet. And we have time. If there's one good thing about CWD, it's this. It is indeed a 1990s disaster movie, but it is in very slow motion. It moves very slow. And how a lot of the naysayers will portray that it's not a thing is they zoom out on deer populations on the macro. Multiple counties, statewide, and they'll say this state has CWD, yet their population is increasing. And that is true on the macro. But when you zoom in that lens to where the disease is ramping up, those populations are not expanding. So you have to zoom your perspective and your lens down to a small locality. It goes back to another comment I got regarding the rut and buck-doe ratio. Is one of the guys was saying that the buck-doe ratio is a facade, that it's not true, and in his locality it's not a thing or doesn't impact his hunting. Shooting does creates more hunting pressure and makes bucks go nocturnal. Well, yes, that is very, very true. Hunting pressure does make deer in general go nocturnal, and that's been proven in several studies. I should do a better job of citing specific studies, but if I'm making citations, I can't talk off the cuff, which is unfortunately what I do best. That's more for peer-reviewed articles, And to further address the comment about the buck-doe ratio and hunting pressure on local properties, is that is an age-old deer management challenge. Is disease management, population management, habitat management is very property specific. You can zoom out a little bit and it can be county specific. It can be soil region within a county specific. But really each individual property is its own thing. Each individual locality is its own thing. There are universal truths. Density dependent deer management techniques, population management for most wildlife does work. CWD is influenced by deer density. Take the North Arkansas zone. It took a very long time for those populations to crash because they were in that mountain soil, very poor, not many deer anyway. But you take it to a higher deer density, say a Fayette, Hardeman County, Tennessee, or a Benton and Marshall County, Mississippi, the higher deer density, and the disease prevalence increases and the impacts are felt quicker than they are in, say, the Arkansas zone. So yes, property specific, county specific, soil region specific deer management is very relevant. But paintbrushing what happens on your property and saying that it happens everywhere is outright false. That's where biological data and intelligent management come into play. If you're not collecting data, if you're not at least collecting observation data, you're basically throwing darts at a dartboard and hoping that your techniques are working. You can't manage what you can't measure. But what I would like to do and propose in this video, and I'm going to try to keep this very short, is long-term solutions. There are no long-term solutions for chronic wasting disease. There are best management practices, and there are techniques and methods that we as hunters can use if we rally together to slow the disease down and hold on to our way of life. Where it is and where it's gotten established, those folks are hosed. Their hunting's ruined either by the BMPs or the disease itself. So they're done. When you get it in your locality, you're on the timeline, and you're going to be hunting 2- and 3-year-old bucks. The good news is that CWD will eventually lower the deer density for you, so you don't have to shoot as many deer eventually. And the 2- and 3-year-olds that survive because of that lower deer density will be absolutely spectacular. So you will have some good deer to hunt at times in certain localities for a while, even with CWD. Eventually, you're going to get to that Arkansas number of 1.5 deer per square mile. That's about a 30-40 year process, but you will get there, and then it's ball game. But remember that I said 30 or 40 years. And yeah, most of us that are old guys like me won't be hunting in 30 or 40 years. But I'm thinking long term. I like to think about the resource long term, and I like to think about maybe I'll have a grandboy that wants to hunt. Maybe I'll have a young friend, a young kid that I can mentor that wants to hunt, and he can enjoy the deer herds that I've enjoyed. So the BMPs, best management practices that you can put in place to slow the disease down even more and buy ourselves a good bit of time, are things that I've mentioned. If you are positive, go knock out that family group of does. If you get a hot doe, CWD positive doe, go thump her family group. And the next thing you can do is I hate to keep harping on this, but cease and desist on feed and bait, on mineral licks. Try to minimize nose-to-nose contact with as many deer as possible. They're still going to interact. They're still going to feed under mass-producing trees. They're still going to participate in the rut. But you slow the disease down to a snail's pace by doing that. The next thing I would recommend, and there's no science to back this up, it's just my personal opinion, is if you own a piece of property or you have the opportunity to do this, sound habitat management, timber work, managing native warm season grass fields with a lot of forbs in them. If you can provide more of those plants, then you may be able to spread deer out a little bit more and potentially prevent them from exchanging salivary secretions. So with the landscape we're in today, I know that feed and bait and feeders are an infinite revenue source. You can sell feed, you can sell corn, you can sell feeders, and these sorry freaking trail cameras that are out there now that last about 1 or 2 hunting seasons, you can sell those until the end of time. You can sell them until people run out of money, which short term at least they're not. So hunters are going to buy that crap. They're going to buy the little mineral blocks. They're going to buy the little deer cocaine, whatever they call it, powder that you dump out. They're going to buy the molasses. Yeah, that's good for revenue. It's good for a nice quarterly statement, but it's incredibly bad for the natural resource. So we're kind of at a crossroads where we have to start making hard decisions. And I would strongly recommend that you put those BMPs into place. If you pop positive in a new area, you're going to need to reduce the deer density to slow the disease down. You're going to need to focus on removing those family groups of does, and you're going to need to reduce your buck age structure down to 2 and 3 year olds. An older buck age structure just allows the disease to spread, and those older bucks are more susceptible to it because they interact with so many different deer throughout the rut. So with that, I'm going to wind this one up, try to keep it as short as possible. But solutions long term, there are none. We haven't figured out how to beat a misfolded protein yet. But there's no excuse to do nothing, because there again, deer hunters and biologists, and even deer hunters, more importantly, should be tenacious enough. If you're tenacious enough to hunt an old buck, you should be tenacious enough to make a hard decision and not cry uncle to a bad disease diagnosis. Keep up the fight, keep the faith, and keep hunting. And remember to enjoy it. Don't make it too complicated. Appreciate all of y'all, and we'll be talking.